Her fingers closed around his wrist before her brain caught up. The slap never landed. Maia held Lorcan's arm suspended in the air, his palm frozen 3 inches from her face. The diner went silent. Forks stopped. Conversations died. Even the coffee machine seemed to hold its breath. His eyes dropped to her grip, then rose to meet hers. She should let go. She knew that. Every survival instinct she had spent 23 years building screamed at her to release him, apologize, disappear into the kitchen. Men like Lorcan Davenport did not get touched. Men like him did not get stopped. Men like him made waitresses vanish for less. But her hand would not open. His skin burned hot under her fingers. She could feel his pulse hammering against her thumb. Fast, angry, surprised. The vein in his neck thickened. His jaw tightened until the muscle twitched. You want to think real careful about what you're doing right now. His voice came out low, controlled, the kind of quiet that preceded violence. Maia's chest compressed. Her lungs forgot how to work. But still, her grip held. 18 customers watched. 2 cooks peered through the kitchen window. Her manager stood frozen by the register, face drained of color. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, the only sound in the room. She had grabbed him because his hand was coming for her face, because he did not like that she had asked him to repeat his order, because she had not smiled wide enough, because men like him expected women like her to shrink. But Maia had stopped shrinking 3 years ago. I don't get hit, she said. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Not anymore. Something flickered across Lorcan's face. Not anger. Something else. Something she could not name. His eyes narrowed, scanning her like she was a code he needed to crack. Then Riker stepped forward from the booth. His hand moved toward his waistband. Boss? Lorcan's gaze never left Maia's face. The moment stretched. 2 seconds. 5. 10. Her arm began to tremble from holding his wrist so long. Finally, he pulled back. Slow. Deliberate. She released him. Finish your shift. He adjusted his cuff like nothing had happened, like she had not just committed suicide in front of his entire crew. We'll talk later. He walked out. His men followed. The door chimed behind them. Maia's knees nearly buckled. She grabbed the counter edge to stay upright. The diner sounds rushed back. Whispers, shifting bodies, someone's nervous cough. Her manager grabbed her elbow. Back room, now. She followed on numb legs. Her hands had started shaking, violently. She pressed them against her apron to hide the tremors. The back room smelled like grease and cardboard. She leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. Please let this be the end of it. But she already knew better. 4 hours later, Maia clocked out. She pushed through the back exit into the alley. The night air hit her face, cool and damp. She inhaled deep, trying to steady herself. Then she saw it. A black SUV sat parked across the street. Engine running, headlights off, facing the diner, facing her. What would you do if the most dangerous man in your city just marked you as a target? Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious. Where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Maia did not run. She wanted to. God, she wanted to. Every nerve ending in her body fired at once, screaming at her legs to move, to sprint, to disappear into the maze of Ravenshore's back alleys where even Lorcan's men could not follow. But running meant fear, and fear meant weakness, and weakness got you killed faster than standing still. She walked, 1 foot in front of the other, steady, measured. Her sneakers pressed against the wet concrete. The streetlight above her flickered twice, casting her shadow long and thin across the pavement. The SUV did not move. Maia kept her eyes forward. Her peripheral vision worked overtime. She tracked reflections in car windows. counted footsteps that were not hers, listened for doors opening, engines revving, the click of a safety being released. Nothing. Just the SUV. Watching. 3 blocks to her apartment. She had walked this route 600 times, knew every crack in the sidewalk, every broken fence, every house with a dog that barked at strangers. Tonight, the street felt foreign. Her mind kept flashing to Marcus, the way he used to wait outside her job, outside her mother's house, outside her gym, patient, smiling, always smiling, until the doors closed and the smiles stopped and his hands found her throat. She had escaped Marcus, rebuilt herself from the wreckage he left behind, taught herself to fight, to watch, to survive. She would not become prey again. The SUV's headlights flicked on behind her. Her heart slammed against her ribs, but her pace stayed the same. Even, controlled. 2 blocks now. A car passed from the opposite direction. She memorized the license plate without thinking. Gray Honda, dented bumper, driver on his phone. Not a threat. 1 block. Her building rose ahead, 4 stories of crumbling brick and rusted fire escapes. Home, safety, or at least the closest thing she had to it. She reached the entrance, punched in the code. The door buzzed open. She stepped inside and finally let herself breathe. Then her phone buzzed in her pocket. Unknown number. Maia stared at the screen. Her thumb hovered over the ignore button, but something made her answer. Hello? Silence. No voice, no static, just breathing. Slow, steady, intentional. Who is this? The breathing continued. In, out, in, out. Then the line went dead. Maia checked the locks 3 times. Deadbolt. Chain. The wooden chair she kept wedged under the doorknob. She tested each one, pressing her weight against the door until her shoulder ached. Still did not feel like enough. Her apartment was small, 400 square feet of peeling wallpaper, secondhand furniture, and windows that let in too much cold. She had lived here for 2 years. It was the first place that had ever been truly hers. No roommates, no boyfriends, no one to answer to. Some nights it felt like sanctuary. Tonight it felt like a cell. She moved through the space with practiced efficiency, checked the window latches, pulled the curtains tighter, made sure the kitchen knife was still in its spot under her mattress. Old habits, the kind that never really died. Her phone lit up on the counter. She flinched before she saw the name. Denise, her best friend, her only friend. Really, the one person who had stayed through everything. Through Marcus, through the hospital, through the months of silence when Maia could not bring herself to answer calls. The message was simple. Everything okay? You seemed weird at lunch. Maia typed back without thinking. Yeah, just tired. The lie came easy. Too easy. But what was she supposed to say? I grabbed a crime boss's wrist today, and now there's an SUV following me, and someone is calling me just to breathe into the phone? Denise would panic. Denise would want to call the police. And the police in Ravenshore did not touch Lorcan Davenport. Everyone knew that. Maia set the phone down and rubbed her eyes. Maybe she was overreacting. Maybe the SUV was coincidence. Maybe the call was a wrong number. Maybe Lorcan had already forgotten about her. She almost believed it. Then she saw the shadow. A thin strip of darkness moved beneath her door. Someone had walked past. Slow, deliberate. The footsteps made no sound on the hallway carpet. Maia's breath stopped. She crept toward the door, pressed her eye to the peephole. The hallway stretched out in fisheye distortion, empty, quiet. The overhead light hummed its usual sick yellow. Then she saw him. Riker stood at the end of the corridor, arms loose at his sides, face blank. He was not walking toward her, was not walking away, just standing, staring directly at her door. Maia pressed her back against the wall beside the door. Her heart pounded so loud she was certain he could hear it through the wood. Sweat slicked her palms. Her throat had gone completely dry. He knows which apartment. He knows where I live. The knife. She needed the knife. She moved on silent feet toward the bedroom. The floorboard near the bathroom creaked. She froze. Listened. Nothing from the hallway. She reached the mattress and slid her hand underneath. Her fingers found the handle. Cold metal against hot skin. Better. Not good. But better. She crept back toward the door and pressed her ear against it. Silence stretched. 1 minute. 2. The building's pipes groaned somewhere above her. Then footsteps. Moving away. Slow and heavy. The stairwell door opened with its familiar creak. Then closed. Gone. Maia waited another full minute before she looked through the peephole again. The hallway stood empty. But something white caught her eye. Paper. Taped to her door. Her hands shook as she undid the locks. She cracked the door just wide enough to grab the note. Slammed it shut. Relocked everything. The paper was plain. Folded once. No envelope. She opened it. 3 words in neat handwriting. Boss wants to talk. Her stomach dropped. But there was more. Something had fallen to the floor when she opened the note. Small. Metal. Heavy for its size. A bullet. Single round. Brass casing catching the light. Maia stared at it for a long time. Was this a threat? A promise? A warning? She picked it up. The metal was cool against her palm. Somewhere in the city, Lorcan Davenport was waiting for an answer. Maia showed up for her shift anyway. Stupid, maybe. Definitely dangerous. But rent was due in 6 days, and fear did not pay bills. The moment she stepped through the door, she felt the change. Conversations stopped. Eyes tracked her across the room. Her coworker Shayla pretended to wipe down a table that was already clean. But her gaze kept sliding toward Maia like she was watching a car wreck in slow motion. Word traveled fast in Ravenshore. Maia grabbed her apron and tied it tight. Clocked in. Started her section like nothing had happened. But everything had happened. 2 customers asked to switch tables when she approached. A man she had served 100 times suddenly could not meet her eyes. Even the regulars seemed afraid to associate with her. She was radioactive now. Her manager, Earl, cornered her by the coffee station 20 minutes into her shift. He was a thick man with a sweating forehead and a permanent frown carved into his face. You got some kind of death wish? He kept his voice low. You know who that was yesterday? I know. Then what the hell were you thinking? Maia grabbed a pot of coffee. Her hand stayed steady through sheer willpower. I was thinking he doesn't get to hit me. Earl's face reddened. Not smart picking fights with men like him. He owns half this neighborhood. He owns the cops. He probably owns this damn building. Maia met his eyes. Not smart touching women like that either. Earl opened his mouth, closed it, walked away shaking his head. She carried the coffee to table 6, poured with a smile that felt like broken glass, moved to the next table. And the next? Routine. Normal. Like her life had not just imploded. Around 11, she glanced out the front window. A woman stood across the street. Tall, sharp cheekbones, natural hair cropped close to her skull. She leaned against a parking meter like she had all the time in the world. Juno, Lorcan's second in command. Their eyes met through the glass. Maia expected hostility, disgust. Instead, Juno gave her a small nod. Respect, almost impressed. What the hell did that mean? Before Maia could process it, the door chimed. Riker walked in alone. Every customer in the diner seemed to shrink. He crossed the room in 4 long strides and stopped directly in front of her. The boss wants to see you. His voice carried no emotion. Now, is Maia walking into a negotiation or an execution? The SUV door slammed shut behind her. Maia sat in the middle seat, leather cold against her thighs. Riker on her left, Juno on her right. Neither spoke. Neither looked at her. The driver pulled into traffic without a word. Maia kept her breathing steady, counted the turns, left on Monroe, right on Chambers, straight past the abandoned textile factory where everyone knew bodies got dumped. She memorized everything: street names, landmarks, the cracked billboard advertising a casino that closed 5 years ago. If she survived this, she needed to know her way back. The silence in the car pressed against her eardrums. She could hear Riker breathing through his nose, could smell Juno's perfume, something expensive, out of place in this vehicle full of death. "Where are we going?" Maia's voice sounded foreign to her own ears. Riker did not answer. Juno glanced at her sideways. "You'll see." Not helpful, but not hostile either. The SUV crossed into the north side of Ravenshore. The buildings changed. Crumbling brick gave way to manicured lawns. Graffiti disappeared. The streets widened. Money lived here. Old money. The kind that built empires on other people's suffering. Maia had never been to this part of the city. Had never had reason to. Girls like her did not belong in neighborhoods like this. Her palms grew damp. She wiped them on her jeans. The driver turned onto a private road. Trees lined both sides, branches meeting overhead like a tunnel. At the end sat a house that made Maia's breath catch. Not a house. A mansion. 3 stories of gray stone and black shutters. Windows that reflected the sky like mirrors. A fountain in the circular driveway that probably cost more than everything she had ever owned combined. This was where Lorcan Davenport lived. The SUV stopped at the front entrance. Riker got out first, then Juno. Maia followed on unsteady legs. She had expected a warehouse, a basement, somewhere with drains in the floor and plastic on the walls. Somewhere designed for the kind of conversation that ended with missing persons reports. Not this. The front door opened before they reached it, and Lorcan Davenport stood in the doorway himself. No guards flanking him, no weapon visible. Just a man in a white shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, watching her approach with an expression she could not read. Not anger, something else entirely. Lorcan stepped aside to let her enter. Maia walked past him into a foyer larger than her entire apartment. Marble floors, a chandelier dripping crystals, a staircase that curved upward like something from a movie she could never afford to see. He closed the door behind her. The sound echoed. "Leave us." He did not look at Riker or Juno. His eyes stayed fixed on Maia. Riker hesitated. "Boss, I don't think—" "I said leave." The words carried no volume, but they carried weight. Riker's jaw tightened. He exchanged a glance with Juno. Then both of them disappeared through a side door. Maia and Lorcan stood alone. He moved past her toward a room off the main hallway. She followed because she had no other choice. The room turned out to be an office. Dark wood, leather furniture, bookshelves that stretched floor to ceiling. He poured himself a drink from a crystal decanter, did not offer her one. "Explain." He turned to face her. "Explain what happened yesterday." Maia's chin lifted. "You were going to hit me." "I was going to do what I wanted in my own city." He set the glass down hard. "No one stops me. No one touches me. Do you understand what you did?" "I understand you don't like being told no." His eyes flashed. For a moment, she thought he might close the distance between them, might finish what he started in the diner. But he did not move. "Who taught you to react like that?" His voice had changed. Curious now, analytical. "That wasn't fear. That was training." Maia said nothing. "Someone hurt you before." He studied her face like he was reading a document. "Someone taught you that hands mean pain, and you taught yourself to stop them." Her throat tightened. She had not expected him to see that. Had not expected him to look past the surface. "I don't let men touch me." The words came out quiet but firm. Not anymore. Lorcan was silent for a long moment. His fingers traced the rim of his glass. Then he said something that nearly knocked her off balance. I don't like being touched either, for different reasons. Their eyes met, held, two damaged people recognizing something familiar in each other. The moment shattered when the door burst open. Riker stormed in, face twisted with anger. We've got a problem. A big one. Lorcan's posture shifted instantly. Predator mode. What? You're losing the crew. Word got out about the diner. About her. Riker pointed at Maia. Everyone's laughing. Saying you've gone soft. Saying some waitress made you back down. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Lorcan turned slowly to face Maia. His expression had hardened into something unreadable. Something dangerous. You did this. Maia did not back down. I defended myself. She kept her voice level even as her heart raced. That's all I did. Lorcan moved closer. Close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. Close enough to smell the whiskey on his breath. In my world, that's enough to start a war. Then your world has problems I can't fix. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or something close to admiration. Who are you? The question came out softer than before. Really, not the waitress story, the real version. Maia's walls trembled. She had built them so carefully, brick by brick, year by year. No one got through. No one got close. But something about this moment made her speak. I'm someone who survived things I shouldn't have. She held his gaze. Someone who promised herself she'd never be helpless again. What things? The kind that leave scars you can't see. Lorcan went still. For a long moment, neither of them breathed. Then he did something unexpected. He pulled his shirt collar aside, revealed a mark on his collarbone. Old, faded, shaped like a cigarette burn. My father, he said quietly, when I was 9, because I cried at my mother's funeral. Maia stared at the scar, at the vulnerability he had just handed her like a weapon. Why are you showing me this? Because you're the first person in years who looked at me like I was human. He let his collar fall back. Everyone else sees the monster. You saw the man underneath. The air between them shifted, charged with something neither of them had words for. Then the window exploded. Glass sprayed across the room. Maia hit the floor on instinct. Gunfire erupted outside. Multiple weapons, automatic, coming from every direction. Lorcan grabbed her arm, not aggressive, protective. He yanked her behind the heavy desk as bullets tore through the walls. Stay down. More glass shattered. Men shouted. Return fire cracked from somewhere in the house. Maia pressed herself against the wood. Her ears rang. Her body shook, but she was not frozen. She was calculating, counting shots, tracking positions. Lorcan crouched beside her, blood running from a cut on his forehead. Rival crew. He pulled a gun from beneath the desk. They've been waiting for weakness. You gave them the excuse they needed. The shooting intensified. Someone screamed in the hallway. Maia realized with cold clarity that her simple act of defiance had just ignited a war. Silence fell as suddenly as the gunfire started. Maia's ears rang in the aftermath. Smoke drifted through the shattered windows. The smell of gunpowder burned her nostrils. She lifted her head slowly. The office looked like a war zone. Bullet holes stitched across the walls. Books torn apart. The crystal decanter lay in pieces. Whiskey pooling on the floor like blood. Lorcan was already moving. He crossed to the door, gun raised, and peered into the hallway. Clear this side. He spoke into his phone. Get me a count on casualties. Maia stood on shaking legs. Glass crunched under her sneakers. She looked down at her hands. No blood. Not hers anyway. Then she saw Juno. The woman lay crumpled near the doorway. Her shoulder bloomed red. She was conscious but breathing hard, teeth clenched against the pain. Maia moved before she could think. She dropped to her knees beside Juno and pressed her hands against the wound. "Keep pressure on it." Her voice came out steady, calm. The trauma response she had learned in another life, when Marcus's violence had taught her basic first aid out of necessity. Juno stared up at her. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you're bleeding." Simple as that. Lorcan appeared above them. His eyes dropped to Maia's hands, to the blood seeping between her fingers, to the way she had positioned herself to help someone who had escorted her here like a prisoner. "Medic's coming." His voice was rough. "Move." "If I move, she loses more blood." I said no. Their eyes locked. Another standoff. But this time, something different passed between them. Respect, maybe. Recognition. Lorcan knelt beside them. His hand covered Maia's, adding pressure to the wound. Together, then. They stayed like that until the medic arrived. Shoulder to shoulder, hands overlapping, blood on both of them. Riker appeared in the doorway, limping. 3 of ours down. 2 dead. They hit us hard and pulled back. Definitely the Morrison crew. Lorcan's jaw tightened. Because of the diner. Because you looked weak. Riker's eyes cut to Maia. Because of her. Maia opened her mouth to respond, but Lorcan spoke first. "She's not the problem." He stood, wiping blood on his ruined shirt. "She's the excuse they were waiting for. This would have happened eventually." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. "Police." Juno coughed. Someone called it in. Lorcan looked down at Maia. His expression had shifted again, something almost protective in his gaze. "You changed everything." The words came out barely above a whisper. "You know that, right?" The sirens grew louder, and Maia realized she was trapped in the middle of a world she had never asked to enter. The police asked questions for 2 hours. Maia sat in the back of an ambulance. A shock blanket draped over her shoulders. Detectives rotated through. Different faces, same suspicious eyes. They wanted to know why a waitress from the east side was inside Lorcan Davenport's mansion during a shooting. She told them she was there for a job interview. Private chef. She had seen an ad online. They did not believe her, but they could not prove otherwise. Lorcan had given the same story, word for word, like they had rehearsed it, like he had decided to protect her before she even knew she needed protecting. Around midnight, they let her go. She stood on the mansion's driveway, watching police cars pull away one by one. The fountain still bubbled peacefully, oblivious to the violence that had erupted hours before. Lorcan appeared beside her. "The Morrison crew knows your face now." He did not look at her. Kept his eyes on the departing cars. "They know you mean something. That makes you a target." "I don't mean anything to you." "You do now." He turned to face her. "Whether either of us likes it." Maia's chest tightened. "What does that mean?" "It means they'll come for you. To hurt me. To prove I can't protect what's mine." "I'm not yours." "No." Something softened in his eyes. "But they don't know that. And until this is over, you need protection." Maia stepped back. "I won't be owned. I won't be kept. I've spent 3 years escaping that kind of cage." Lorcan studied her for a long moment. "Then think of it as survival. Temporary. Until I handle the Morrison problem. And if I refuse? Then you go home alone, and you pray they don't find you before I find them." The weight of the choice pressed down on her shoulders. Freedom or safety. Independence or survival. She chose to walk away. The drive home took 40 minutes. A car Lorcan provided. Driver who said nothing. She watched the city lights blur past the window and tried to convince herself she had made the right decision. Her apartment building looked exactly the same. Crumbling brick, rusted fire escapes. The one place that was supposed to be hers alone. She climbed the stairs slowly, unlocked her door, checked every corner, knife in hand, Empty. Safe. She exhaled and finally let herself sink onto the bed. Sleep came in fragments. Gunshots echoed through her dreams. Lorcan's scar, Juno's blood, the way his hand had covered hers. A knock jolted her awake. The clock read 3:17 in the morning. Maia's blood turned to ice. She grabbed the knife, crept toward the door, pressed her eye to the peephole. The hallway was empty. She waited, counted to 60. Nothing moved. Slowly, carefully, she cracked the door open. No one there. But something sat on the floor. Small. Metal. Catching the yellow hallway light. A bullet. Maia picked it up with trembling fingers, turned it over. Her initials were engraved on the casing. MJ Maia Jackson. Someone knew her full name. Someone had been watching long before the diner. Long before Lorcan. Long before any of this. She stared at the bullet in her palm and realized the real danger had not even started yet. Who has been watching Maia this whole time? Is this a warning from the Morrison crew or something far more personal? The truth will shake everything she thought she knew. If this story gave you chills, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss what happens next. We drop stories that stay with you long after they end. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you know someone who loves drama, suspense, and characters who fight back, send them this story. Until next time, stay blessed, stay inspired, and remember your story matters too.